Avowed, something that I was extremely looking forward to. And now it seems like bad things are happening because turns out this thing is gonna cost 60 or 70 bucks because it's a triple A game. I'm sorry, but with all the failures that we have seen from the triple A slop fiesta bonanza chipotle Sunday industry, I really I don't know if I'm gonna buy this. I'm probably not, honestly, unless people say that it's really, really, really good. Because 70 bucks for something that's heavily tied with Microsoft and most likely Bethesda somehow. Like Redfall. Remember Redfall? Oh, it's not a Bethesda. Yeah, it turns out Bethesda did every choice for the game some magically how still. I'm scared.
Now, I originally wanted to talk about something positive in the gaming world, but circumstances are such that something's been brought to my attention that I have to address because it is a matter of great importance to me, namely the game Avowed made by Obsidian and ultimately published by Microsoft. You see, I've made no secret of the fact that I am a strong advocate for Avowed because I have my biases. I am very
Yep, Avowed looked pretty good, and the idea that you actually have choices that actually are choices, not just decorations, seemed really appealing in the modern landscape of Starfield and other shitty games.
very
Dragon Age Railguard.
invested in the world of Aora, the world of Pillars of Eternity, and I was overjoyed originally when I found out that the setting would be continued in one shape or form or another. And I just want to make that clear at the outset. I'm very biased when it comes to Avowed because I really like Pillars of Eternity. However, something has come to light that is very disconcerting. Yesterday, Avowed was made officially available on Steam. And to my great disappointment and consternation, I saw unmeasured and unjustified prices there. What I'm specifically talking about is one, the fact that the base game costs 70 euros, and many people have made the argument that after years of the standard static 60 euros for a AAA game price, that this was simply bound to shift. And indeed, there have been...
No, that is a horrible argument for anyone who's trying to make it. If you're making things better, there is a justification for making the price larger. If you spend more time on it, provide a better experience, yeah. But now that the whole industry is gonna be like, oh, let's add $70 for fucking Starfield. No, that's just horrible. That is not the world I want to live in. Okay, down with all of this nonsense garbage. I don't want to pay $70 for slop for no reason. Paying 60 was already devastating enough, but now 70 just because you feel that your slop is entitled to it? Fuck off.
Many AAA games that have been priced at 70 euros. But my issue with this specifically is that, as far as I'm aware, Avowed is a short to medium length adventure. And I'm not 100% positive about this, mind you. But my impression and my understanding is that Avowed is something like 30 to 40 hours of gameplay if you do everything, which has its advantages and benefits. Make no mistake.
Now, on one side, that sounds like a lot, yes. Because this is definitely a game where you're gonna go off course because, oh, shiny in that direction, ahoy. But on the other hand, still, we have had multiple games that were that long or longer. You know how many hours people have spent in Skyrim, Fallout, and whatnot. So this is not exactly a justification. Oh, it's 40 hours. Let's put it at 70. God no.
This is the type of RPG that has a lot of, at least potentially, replayability in case you want to experience different endings, join different factions, that sort of thing. And the 30 to 40 hour benchmark is really, really good for that. On the other hand, given the probable duration of this game, I think that the 70 euro price mark is too much. If Avowed had been 60 euros, or even 50, because I think 50 might be justified, but let's say 60...
Bro, I honestly... If a game doesn't cost 30 or 40 euros at this point, I am just like looking at it and being like, oh, is this even worth my money? Is it? Because nothing currently is. Even a lot of things that are $40 are not worth your money any longer. So this being 70 right off the gate is probably the greatest detractor that you can ever put on a game like this. It had potential, it had a lot of things. Some people were saying it's woke. Now, I personally have not seen the woke aspects of this. Do you have a fully technical companion? Yes, but that doesn't exactly make the game woke, okay? My standard for woke is different than your standard, probably. And just the fact that there is something like that doesn't necessarily mean it. The dialogue is what's going to determine is the game woke. The actions of NPCs is going to determine is it woke, okay? If if this game does not have a companion that literally comes up to you and does the good old same old classical "I'm gay," then it's probably not woke. Now there is a chance because we have not seen dialogue of this, and that's well, we have seen a little bit of dialogue, I guess, in some presentations, but maybe that's cherry picked. I personally don't think it's gonna be woke, but again, even if it's not woke, but it's still $70, that is just too much for the modern day. Okay, I'm a modern day non-binary person. Okay, I don't buy shit. Just because the name sounds cool, okay?
€60, this would have been much more reasonable. But I think €70 is just too much. That's just my take. On top of that, and something that I think is even more egregious, is this weird pre-order bonus that they've announced.
Oh
now,
boy.
if you really want Avowed early, which is something like 5 days earlier, or probably more like 4
shit, we're going for above 3 days in the buy early bonus. Oh no. Does that cost $100 or euros?
4 days earlier, you can pay a premium of 20 extra euros,
There we go.
making the game
90.
€90. And what you get apart from being able to play it early, you get some lousy and lackluster cosmetic skins that are related to the previous Pillars of Eternity games. Now, if you have the money, and if you love...
By the way, people are looking Avowed completely separate for it being a part of the Pillars of Eternity landscape. No one cares.
Pillars of Eternity, and you just don't care any of the time, I guess you can do this, but to my mind, this is very pernicious marketing. These are not fair and just prices, and I don't blame Obsidian themselves for this. Developers,
I do.
Programmers, artists, don't make this type of policy. This is almost entirely, almost certainly, on people like Phil Spencer and the corpos at Microsoft. Now, there is a method to this madness, though. This isn't just random, this isn't just pure greed, although it is certainly...
I mean, it's definitely pure greed, let's be completely real here.
...motivated and pushed by greed, because what I think is happening here is...
If something is motivated and pushed by X circumstance, then X circumstance becomes the reason it happens. So, yeah, pure greed. There we go.
These prices are so exorbitant, so ridiculous, because they want to promote and push Game Pass. Because you can then just play Avowed on Game Pass without having to shell out all that money to quote-unquote own it on Steam. Although technically you don't own it, that's a different subject for another time. And so if I had to guess, what the corpos are thinking is, well, maybe not so many people will buy this.
This is also a huge red flag, by the way, because the reality of Game Pass is they shouldn't put anything on Game Pass day one unless you think it's going to be really bad sales-wise. There are exceptions, like, for example, how they want to put Call of Duty on Game Pass so people just in general buy Game Pass. But that is an exception. Everything else, any other game that's on Day Pass day one, is technically just lost money for this company. So, the fact that Avowed is going to be on Game Pass day one is also a giant red flag. Again, there's a reason they put Starfield on Game Pass day one. That was not a good reason because, well, we know how Starfield turned out. Veilguard is also on Game Pass day one. Fuck me if you don't know what happened with that.
Game on Steam or GOG or other platforms. But if they really want to play this game, maybe they'll give us a subscription on Game Pass. Game Pass is what they really want to grow at this stage. They want to see how much they can get out of Game Pass by making, in part, the price of the basic game for normal PC players exorbitantly high. And here's the thing. For those of us who are, to be perfectly blunt, devoted acolytes of the Pillars of Eternity universe, I will be getting the game because this is a series and setting that I am heavily invested in. Mind you, I will not pre-order this. I will not buy the early access version. 90 euros for a game that is probably something like 35 hours long is, in my humble opinion, utterly ridiculous.
Also, it doesn't really matter how long the game is if the game is shit, because you're not going to play those 38 hours if the game is bad, okay? You're going to play like 2 if the game is bad. Now, hopefully the game is not bad, and at this point, hey, listen. Ubisoft said it the best. You don't own the games that you buy, so, pirating is completely legal.
And so I'm sort of two minds here. On the one hand, I cannot for the life of me condone the pricing, or this ridiculously bad deal for early access. You get to play it 4 to 5 days earlier, and you get some dumpy skins, and you have to pay 20 euros more for that.
Yo, if this was a Blizzard product, people would love the fucking piece of shit tier skin and would eat this up like there's no tomorrow, okay?
There are DLCs that cost that much that offer more content. So I really can't condone that. It's ridiculous. On the other hand, I want Avowed to succeed because, to be honest, I love the universe of Pillars of Eternity. And if it doesn't do well financially, it's unlikely that Microsoft will greenlight any future projects in the world of Aora. And so I'm torn here.
At this point, it's really hard to actually gauge what honestly is a success for Microsoft in real terms, considering the Game Pass thing is such a major thing. It's really, really hard to tell at this point. So, I don't know. Also, even if this completely busts, Pillars of Eternity are gonna continue. Okay? Because it's a franchise that exists, and you can give it to some studio to wokify the living shit out of it so they can milk the last penny of it. AK, again, Dragon Age the Veil God, which currently is probably set to lose at least 300 million in revenue. Very cool, very cool.
Here, to be perfectly honest. But I have to stay honest and sincere. I am very biased when it comes to Avowed. I perfectly and totally understand if you think this is overpriced, because it is, and you don't want to play this game. Even if this game were amazing. And
also, you know what's another red flag? Watch this.
You don't want to play this game. Even if this game were amazing and the Game of the Year candidate, which I don't think it will be because it's going to be very niche and appeal to a certain crowd, you don't want to play this game because it is.
Oh, here we go. You see this? See this? Oh my god. You know what this is? This is a Bethesda Ghoul backhand. Yeah? It's a fucking Bethesda. Oh, you can't hear me because I was whispering. This is a Bethesda charging ghoul attack animation. That's a red flag right there, buddy.
Game of the Year candidate, which I don't think it will be because it's going to be very niche and appeal to a certain crowd.
Yeah.
But let's say it were that.
No.
You probably should still wait for a sale. These prices are not reasonable. However, I will be buying the game, I will be playing the game, and I probably will make a review about the game and talk a lot about the lore and the characters and what have you. So I'm...
Okay, yeah. I mean, I have high hopes for Valve, but I am not buying this. Fucking $70 for something that has Bethesda stench literally all over it at this point? Hell no, Buckaroo, no. Hey, no way, buddy. Oh, man. I am still kind of hopeful, even though this does sound probably not that hopeful. I am still like 70 to 30 that Avowed is going to be a good game, okay? Now, is it an overpriced game no matter what? Fuck yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe the Pirate's Life is the way to go on this one, because $70 for something like this? Ain't no way, Chief. If it's 30, I'm still gonna complain about the price. In any case, that was a Spill and Shield 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye!